Welcome to a new session of our disciple-making community. Let's begin by catching up on how we are doing. Based on what has happened with you since last time we met, what is something you are thankful for? What has stressed you out this week? And what do you need for things to be better? What are the needs of the lost in your community, and how can we help each other meet the needs we've expressed? How has God been working through your efforts to multiply prayer? Any stories of answered prayer that we can praise Him for? What did we learn in our last meeting about making disciples? In our last meeting, you decided to apply what you learned. What did you do? And how did it go? Who did you share something with from the last story? How did they respond? We identified several needs last time we met and planned to meet those needs. How did it go? Now, let's listen to a new truth from God. From the book of 2 Timothy.
Timothy, my dear son, be strong through the grace that God gives you in Christ Jesus. You have heard me teach things that have been confirmed by many reliable witnesses. Now teach these truths to other trustworthy people who will be able to pass them on to others. Endure suffering along with me as a good soldier of Christ Jesus.
Now, let's have someone retell this passage in their own words, as though they were telling a friend who has never heard it. Let's help them if they leave anything out or add anything by mistake. If that happens, we can ask, where do you find that in the story? What does this story teach us about God, His character, and what He does? What do we learn about making disciples from this story? How will you apply what God has shown you from this story in your life this week? What is a specific action or thing you will do? Now, let's watch today's training video.
Welcome to week 9 of the Waha Disciple Making course. Want to know how to raise up an army of disciple makers? Let's find out in today's video. Being a part of a disciple making community is all about taking action. That's why we focus on the practices of a disciple that multiplies. Be hearers and doers of the word. Multiply prayer. Engage the lost. Find people of peace. Help discovery groups start. Coach and multiply churches and coach and multiply leaders. When our sails are up and we persevere until God blows His wind, we will see movement in our communities. Today, we'll focus on the 7th practice, coach and multiply leaders. The Ina are a people group located in an impressive area of East Asia. The Ina were the poorest people group in the country. Many of them were illiterate and uneducated. They were secluded in the mountains, and it took over a day to travel to and from the nearest population center. The Ina were animists, and the region was extremely spiritually dark. For years, Steve Smith and his team of local Asian partners labored among the Ina. Many of these local Asian partners were arrested, thrown into jail, and beaten, but God was working. In 2 short years, they planted the first churches among the Ina. Even more exciting, the Ina were catching the vision to start churches and to make disciples themselves. The majority of new churches were being started by new Ina believers. There were 5,000 villages among the Ina, and they had reached about 80 of them. Yet Steve and his partner cried out, "Lord, there are still 4,900 villages yet to be touched with the gospel. Don't let us be satisfied with the good and miss what it will take to see all 5,000 villages reached." Steve gathered key Ina leaders from the 80 churches that had been planted so far. They spent several days with each other, talking about marriage, discipleship, leading well, enduring persecution, and most of all, the task of reaching their people group with the gospel. He posed a question for them. How can 80 churches reach 5,000 villages in 5 years or less? The Ina looked at Steve with nervousness in their eyes. How could they accomplish such a feat? Steve let the Ina talk amongst themselves to answer the question. 2 hours later, Steve returned. When he entered the room, he saw something written on the whiteboard. One of the Ina leaders approached Steve with a wild excitement in his eyes. He spoke for the group. Brother Steve, you won't believe what we discovered." This ENA leader started jumping up and down with excitement. As you know, we represent 80 ENA churches. We can easily go back and train each of our 80 churches to start a new church in 6 months or less. In 6 months, we'll have 160 churches. The ENA leader continued to jump with excitement. And if we can train our 160 churches to again start a new church in 6 months or less, we will have 320 churches. Can you imagine that, Steve? And that's not all. Every 6 months, we can help each church to repeat the pattern so that every 6 months we double in number from 320 to 640 to 1280 to 2560 to 5120. The rest of the ENA in the group were now jumping up and down. A wild frenzy had overtaken them. Brother Steve, we will be finished in 3.5 years. 3.5 years, 3.5 years. The rest of the group chanted. Spirit of God, empower these brothers to fulfill this vision, Steve prayed. John 14:12 says, Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the words that I do, he will do also. In greater works than these will he do, because I go to the Father. What if you, as a disciple-making community, answered the same questions that ENA answered? How many people are in your target people group? This could be your city, your state, or even your entire country. What if you could start new discovery groups every 6 months? What if those discovery groups multiplied and started new discovery groups of their own every 6 months? How long could it take to accomplish such a vision? 2 Timothy 2:2 says, What you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. What if we started discovery groups that started discovery groups that started more discovery groups? There are 2 types of people in the world, unbelievers and believers. With unbelievers who are seeking, we can do discovery Bible studies with them and help them discover Jesus as Lord. With believers, we can cast vision, equip, and mobilize them to be disciple makers that multiply. What if each member of this disciple-making community started a disciple-making community of their own? And what if all our disciple-making communities, including this one, started multiple discovery groups? Here's what to do. Come up with a list of names of other believers that you could start a disciple-making community with. These could be friends, family members, and people you work with or go to school with. Invite this list to watch the Waha Disciple Making course with you. We suggest sending them the trailer video. Be sure to ask if they know any other believers that they could bring to this training. Implement disciple making together. As we start to see new disciple making communities and discovery groups form, we can begin to coach each other as we face both new challenges and new fruit. We may also consider meeting slightly less frequently, like every other week, to give us the time we need with our new disciple-making communities and discovery groups. In northern India, Victor John, who catalyzed the Bhojpuri movement, which has now started other movements, held a training for making disciples that multiply. 30 people, all from different regions and districts, were in attendance for that training. Those 30 people then took the training to their respective regions and districts. Their goal was then to go and train 30 others. The trainer would train others who would then go out and train other people also. Modeling 2 Timothy 2:2 means we can multiply disciples, churches, leaders, and even trainings. Jesus tells us in Matthew 9:37-38, the harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord who's in charge of the harvest. Ask him to send more workers into his fields. Who can we ask to be workers in the harvest with us? Pray and make a list right now of 3 to 5 people you could start a disciple-making community with. All right, that's it for today's training. Let's move on to our next question, where we will discuss what we just learned.
Let's discuss what we just learned and how we can apply it as we make disciples. Now, let's talk about engaging the lost. Who did we have conversations with since we last met? And how can we pray for them? How will we engage these people and others in order to have good conversations with them this week? As our meeting comes to a close, let's decide when we will meet again and who will facilitate the next meeting. This has been a good time together. We encourage you to make note of what you said you will do and to re-listen to this story in the days before we meet again. The facilitator can share the story text or audio if anyone doesn't have it. As we go, let's ask the Lord to help us.